Father Ted Gonzalez, Jesuit, we welcome you to the session and thank you for your time with us. Go ahead, Father Ted.
Okay, just a little word before I begin. I think not I think, but the reality in CEPAM is right now my work is less of coordinating programs, but I like to be creative, no, in terms of programs. Okay, so I'm not the formal like coordinator, but I like to create programs. Okay, like I realized that most of my programs are basically coming from like this one, no, the founders in the field of counseling or therapy, and also from the experience being immersed in the Philippines. A little background, no, before I start. Um, when I was doing my master's program, and I was almost ending na, no, and I received two letters. So imagine I'm finishing my master's program. I was studying then at Loyola College in Maryland. Okay, and so I received two letters. The first letter says that, oh Ted, we think you are a potential candidate for the PhD program, for the doctoral program. So one letter says, we think you are potential to pursue your doctoral studies. Of course, you can imagine how I felt good, because that means it's like a vote of confidence. On the other hand, I received another letter and it says, Ted, you come home now to the Philippines. So one letter says you proceed for studies, the other one says you come home. Of course, what happened was I had my vertigo. I don't know if you know what vertigo means. It means like you're parang nahihilo at mukhang parang a little turn and you will like to parang mahuhulog, mga ganyan, no? I don't know if you ever experienced vertigo. Tapos, yung isa naman, I was vomiting also. For those of you who are studying counseling or, psychology, the body speaks a lot, no? And so that time, I was asking myself, what do I really want? Because part of me is, of course, I have to obey because I'm a religious and I have to obey my superiors and I have to return to the Philippines. Then, by the way, I was given extra 6 months to stay on. Pero part of me was really, parang wala pa akong masyadong alam. Basically, that's it. And as you will see when you continue your studies, parang there's always a thirst for learning. Anyway, so I asked myself, what do I really want? So then I remember my professor in philosophy, Father Ferriols. He says that if you want to express yourself better, you go to the original. So, for example, go to the original writers. So that is one of my. I don't know. I remember that, no. If you want to be creative, go to the original. Okay. The other one is by Thomas Kuhn, and he says that in terms of science, no, or like scientific revolution, you will have, if you want to have new science, you have to respect the old science before you change it. So, in other words, if you want new science, build on the old science, in other words. Okay. Another person I remember is Father Bulatao. Father Bulatao is very creative in terms of parang Filipino values, tapos yung mga people being possessed, mga ganyan. And but he integrates it with psychology and hypnotherapy, mga ganun. So I don't know if we were finishing the mass already, or I mean, just finished the mass or just while waiting for the mass. And then I asked him, Father, how are you able to do all of these things? And he said, Ted, you immerse the experience and then you reflect upon it. Okay, that's what he said. You immerse yourself in the experience and then you reflect upon it. So in other words, kung sa science pa yan, theory, practice, practice, theory. Parang ganyan. So you learn. It's like a pedagogy. Okay. Let me begin with, so this is one of the part of this, my reflection on the masters in the field. Remember I told you, what do I really want? I said, I want to go back. In fact, I said, I will doctor myself. So because I was teaching also, I began to read on the founders in the field. And then I said, I will doctor myself for a while. After 7 years, of course, I was allowed to go back to proceed with my doctorate, no, my PhD program. Anyway, these are some of the reflections I have. They're not exhaustive. These are just like to begin your reflections. Okay, the first one I like to offer is, I call it, let me see, huh? I call it follow the pain. Okay, the first one is follow the pain. This was taken basically from Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers had a parang like a counselee or a client. He was a pyromaniac kid. Ano yung sabi ng pyromaniac? Pyromaniac kid means someone who likes to set fire. Pyro is like fire. So, so this like a kid, he was setting fire in the house. So that time, Carl Rogers was new in the field, and he was trying to apply, like behavioral approaches that he knew. And then, what he learned from the laboratory, especially with the experiments with rats, mga ganyan. Siguro paka stimulus response. We will get that later on. And then, so it was not working for this pyromaniac kid. What he knew then, parang kumbaga, he reached the limit of his knowledge. So this Carl Rogers, he told the mother, I don't know if I'm the right person to help your son. I don't think I can help your son now. So he was almost like giving up. And then, so the mom and the son left. And then the mother returned. And the mom said, do you take adults here? So this this mother and then was beginning to open up her story. And then Carl is, okay, let's try. And then the mother began opening up her story about about this her relationship with the husband. So you can almost guess, perhaps the fire which the kid was setting up or doing, there was like more symbolic. There was fire in the home. So what Carl Rogers did, and this is the lesson, he said, I just followed the pain of this mother. Okay. It's like, remember I don't know if you have had already courses in this, the theory of Carl Rogers, non-directive therapy, but it's really person-centered. So what happened was, Carl Rogers said, I just followed the pain of the mother. And this has been a turning point for Carl Rogers, especially in his model of therapy. So in counseling, in other words, we try to follow what pains the person. Remember, in empathy, we try to enter the internal experience of the counselee. Okay, now the other story here is from Sigmund Freud. He had a patient. Her name is Anna. No, she calls her Anna O. And Anna had many biological or, like somatic uh, pain and illnesses. But a number of the doctors could not trace what was happening to her body. She had all sorts of pain. Of course, we call that sometimes somatization, no? And nothing was, the doctors could not figure out what was happening. And then Freud just began to listen to what was disgusting in the story of Anna. Anna just opened up, no, the description of Carl Rogers, like this Anna was like opening up, no, what was happening, what she saw. There was something that she saw that was disgusting, and it is like chimney sweeping. In counseling, we call that catharsis, isn't it? So catharsis is like releasing what is inside. But for Sigmund Freud, he says that he found it therapeutic. This is another lesson, okay? That he found it therapeutic to allow the person to release what is disgusting in her experience or in his experience. So therefore, what we're trying to say is try to lesson is try to learn and maybe voice out, articulate, name the pain. I call claim the pain. So first lesson that we learn from the masters, especially Carl Rogers and this Sigmund Freud, is just to listen very well. What is the person going through? Now we are in the time of COVID-19 and this coronavirus. Many people are affected by this, coronavirus. There's some fear, no? Will I ever get out? If you're found positive, will I ever get out of this, and when? Remember, we have been having this for 6 months already. It's almost like almost Christmas, okay? And when will this end? We don't know. So it's almost like some people are even predicting until next year. We hope we find not only the vaccine, but we hope that this curve will flatten, we call, no? And of course, some people say there's a lot of anxiety and depression at this time because things are uncertain. So just follow the uncertainty of people, the pain they are going through, insecurity, for example. Okay, that's the first lesson. The second lesson I call chart, stimulus, and response. Now, you can almost guess what this is. This is like, remember from this Skinner, okay, B.F. Skinner, okay? So this one is very important because you look for the trigger, no? Important, remember we say, for example, I had a friend, he passed away already. He's kind of bipolar, okay? Bipolar, there's sometimes chemical imbalance, and suddenly he explodes, for example. And sometimes he's feeling down and parang bipolar, okay? And because of these neurotransmitters in the brain, which experience some imbalance, for example. Now, this friend of mine, I asked him, when do you experience this, these strong emotions or explosions sometimes? You know what he said? When my wife tells me that, ikaw, ang tali-talino mo, pero hindi ka marunong kumita. Yung, kumbaga, wala ka masyadong kinikita sa hanap buhay, ganon. You know, that really devastates him because he has this mental illness, but the wife, in a sense, discourages him. So, so important for us in our work, in counseling or therapy, to know the trigger. Kailan ba ito nagsisimula? Another example. Remember, even since the drug war started, declared, no, since this new administration began to talk about the drug war, and we have seen how many people were just killed, no, and lying on the streets. Of course, it was said that they are under investigation or something like that, underreported. But so many people got killed, no, especially in Metro Manila. But when, for example, if you get the chance to work with drug addicts, and of course it's a medical problem, and so therefore it also requires medical solution. And if you listen to them and you ask them, when do you experience this strong urge? Tawag doon ay giyang, no? And you can see so many things they talk about. But aside from, its availability, aside from, they call sometimes when you are hungry, angry, lonely, or feeling sometimes strong sexual urge, or sometimes so lost and tired, no? So to know when the trigger happens. In other words, trigger means also like when you become vulnerable. Young people tell me that word. I feel vulnerable. So question is when is it strongest, especially when we are unmanageable. So important to know these patterns of stimulus response. So sometimes we become unmanageable, whether drugs or other addictions in life or other, unhealthy behavior. When does it happen? To pinpoint, identify, ang tawag doon, stimulus. Okay? So, because remember, it's like we affect, there is like systemic things that happen, and many people are affected, and we are affected. Okay, now question. And the lesson we have is we can either continue with the old habits that we have, or maybe we can learn to change the habit. This is not so easy, huh? As I say this, I am humbled that, for example, when we are tired at night, and sometimes it's hard to decide, no? It's hard to make good decisions. But, it's good uh, to know when we are the weakest. I have learned for example, for me, I'm just trying, okay, I not perfect all the time. When I enter my room, I put my keys outside my door. No, I mean, when I enter, so I put it, there's like a hang, and I put my keys. Now, I realize now that one of my area of vulnerability is my cell phone. Remember, the cell phone will never put you to sleep. The cell phone is always on. And of course, there are so many things to see on the cell phone. And I realize now that for me to go to bed sooner, I have to put my cell phone at rest or at bed. So what I do is I just put it beside St. Joseph, the one, this statue of St. Joseph, and I put my cell phone there. It's like an indication for me, I want to rest already for the night, no? And remember, many young people, sometimes because of these mga games, no? And wow, they will have games even up to the wee hours of the morning. Anyway, so chart the stimulus response. Third lesson. So there was this story of this pastor, no? They were walking together with his, his student or pupil or his mentee, no? Or so there was this pastor together. He was walking with his disciple in a way, and then they saw someone, with a tattoo on the chest, and it says "born loser." No, so they saw someone with his tattoo on his chest, "born loser," and then this disciple said, Does he know what he writes there on his chest? Born loser. And then this master said, before the tattoo on the mind, I'm sorry, before the tattoo on the body is the tattoo on the mind. Again, let me repeat that. Before the tattoo, no, on the body is the tattoo on the mind. In other words, sometimes they say we are so much influenced by our perceptions, by what we think. Example, according to Aaron Beck, that's another founder in the field, Aaron Beck says that for many people, because we have depression now, especially during this pandemic, before we have this, he said that this depression, no? He noticed that many people who are depressed, if you ask them what flashes to your mind, and many of them have like negative thoughts, negative perception, no? So, and overgeneralization, many other things that are like one-sided and negative. Of course, we don't want to judge them, but it's good for them to be aware what they are thinking, okay? Because the thoughts influence a lot our behavior. So, when we have, for example, this depression or negative feelings and negative thoughts, it's good to, ask people to have another view of the reality. I'll give you an example. I was listening to someone, and he is a medical student, no, and he stopped schooling. He stopped medical school because he was trying to. One time, his dad had a stroke, or and they was trying to revive his father, but the father died, and of course it's probably more complicated, but he lost interest in going back to school, to medical school. And then I don't know how he got referred to me. I got a call, and then I was talking to him, and then I told him, can you write down feelings that you have, especially when you have this very low feeling, low energy, lack of motivation. What are your feelings? So I said, you write in your journal on one column, you write your negative thoughts, negative feelings. And so he wrote down what he feels. But I said on the other column, you write what are some of the blessings of your life. Right? What are you most grateful for? So I gave him that assignment. And then at some point, he began to feel better. He began to find the reason why he went to medical school. He was really very close to his father, and he wants to serve. No, he wants to serve other people as a doctor, and then afterwards to make a difference. And then during this pandemic, he said he began to remember that, and he saw there is harvest behind there are trees in the back, at the backyard, and the father and him, they planted this to Indian mango and santol trees around, and then he began to remember his father because there was more harvest around, and then he said, I began to recall good memories of my father, not just his death. And then he said, later on, when I had follow-up session with him, he said, Father Ted, I'd like to go back to medical school. So now, during this online classes, he registered. I think he must be back already in the medical school. And isn't that beautiful that if you are, once in a while we experience you make a difference in the lives of people. And this guy who was once upon a time depressed, he can go back to what he was so excited about before. Okay, so important. What is in your mind? Okay, important that. One other story here. Maybe you're wondering what is this poverty is in the mind. There was one student, no, who became valedictorian. The mother was the laundry woman, but he became valedictorian of UP, University of the Philippines. No, so and then he spoke during his valedictory address, and he said, uh, you know, I am a son of this laundry woman. He said, um, poverty is only in the mind. There was another story from, in one of my seminars, and I met this teacher. He said he's the only one who finished this among his other relatives, no? And he became a teacher. He said, what I do now is I am hasindero of the mind, because it's like a teacher, no? So what is in our mind? And then when there is a disaster, they call it, they say we have 27 typhoons in the Philippines, for example, every year. So disaster is really disastrous. It's like we lose the star or a sense of meaning. So it's important, therefore, to invite people a new perspective, no? Lesson. Your thoughts can imprison or liberate you. Your, what you dream, you can become what you dream. When I was doing my grad school, I have that poster of a turtle, I think, with wings, and it says, if you can dream it, you can become it. Okay, you can be a turtle, but you can also have wings to fly. Okay, the next one is the next lesson is from Glasser. Okay, sometimes there are people who dream and dream and dream, but it only remains a dream. They say there are some people who have thoughts, but there are some people whose wings become a reality, no? And some of their dreams, they really pursue it. Now, what is the difference between those people who just dream and talk about it but never pursue it? The difference is because there is a difference between your existence or where you are and your expectation. So therefore, again, they say there's a difference between existence and expectation. There's a gap, no? There is a gap between what you expect and what is existence. This is also mentioned by existential therapy, no? And therefore, it is important to see that there is a gap, no, between this what you dream about and where you are. So, a question: what blocks? What are the things that hinder you from attaining your dream? So, therefore, we ask people, what when some people are discouraged, we ask them to identify what are the blocks that keep them from making their dreams a reality. So important to see the gaps, no? Business people talk about gaps, no? And it is important that we identify what are those blocks, no? In obstacles in our way of achieving our dreams, no? And they say sometimes the longest journey is from the head to the heart to the hands. In other words, it's not just a dream. How are you going to get there? So important, no? distinguish what is expected and what is the existence or the reality. So you can dream or you can find a way to get there. Number 5 lesson. The 5th lesson we have is from Milton Erickson. Not Eric Erickson, but Milton Erickson. He's one of the founders in the field. And then he says that he gives a lot of examples. For example, there's some people who just get frightened and become anxious, and and really get frozen, no? And it's really sometimes we pray, no, for some people who are like that. They freeze and they cannot move on, no, with life, and many reasons why, no. And the challenge is for Milton Erickson is to recognize that sometimes we get this anxiety, no, that we have, to recognize it, but also and also even strong urges like we talked about earlier about drug addicts with strong itong giyang ang tawag sa Tagalog, urges, no, and or even people who are sexual addicts, for example, or out of control behavior. We have to recognize it, no. That's why it's important to chart, no, to chart this pattern of our life, and then we recognize it and strong urges that we have or emotions, but we can make choices. So in other words, we don't have to stay there. What it says is we can make alternative behavior, or we can make choices. Okay, important, responsible choices. In fact, this Milton Erickson will say, you are free to be shallow or deep, no? You are free to be shallow or deep. And usually people, if you give them a chance to choose, they will choose to be, to find the depth in their life, no? And to discern well, and not just to be carried by impulse. Of course, this is very hard, no? In real life, this is very hard. But once we are able to see our pattern, no, of life, we can make better choices one day. Okay, number 6. Number 6 is very interesting. Be who you are meant to be. Okay, that's another lesson. For me, it means so many words. For Carl Rogers, it talks about congruence. For Bowen, he talks about self-definition, or other people will call it healthy ego. Okay, this is not about egoistic, meaning selfish. This one is about self-care, or it's about convictions or principles. Now, many people now talk about purpose-driven life. It's important to find meaning in our life. Now, another person like that is Viktor Frankl, for example. In the concentration camp, no, he was talking about this is the time of Hitler. And that particular time, and of course now we are in a different setting, no? And there are some people, are we becoming more authoritarian, no? And are our students and some like our press, no? And also media, almost like more controlled, no? There's a lot more fake news, whatever, no? So a lot of challenges happening, and there's a lot of fragmentation in our country. Okay, now this Viktor Frankl, he said, he noticed that during the time in the concentration camp, the people who survived, no, in the concentration camp were the people who had meaning in their life. Now, what is meaning? Meaning for him is that, for example, he said he noticed that for him, for example, he was looking forward to the day that he will be reunited with his family. Of course, what happened was his family also was many of them died, no, because they were Jewish. No, there was persecution of the Jewish people. And then second, he said, I imagine myself. Now he was looking forward again. I imagine myself uh, uh, like being a speaker. I imagine myself teaching as a professor in the university, for example. He could imagine himself that one. And then he said, the people who really survived the concentration camp and those who lived longer were the people who were compassionate. In the camps, not only were people becoming creative and they have some, they entertain each other, but there were actually people who, they had food, but they gave it to their neighbor or, their fellow inmates. The people who had meaning were the people who had compassion, in other words. Okay? So, important to what will drive us to have meaning in our life that will define our life. So, this is like the purpose or what is burning in our hearts. Okay, now the seventh lesson that we want to say is for the many things that will be the choices that will be given to us. We will be doing some diagnosis or assessment, no, with what is happening with our counselees or clients. But ultimately, the question is, who will carry on this recovery? Who will carry on the path of change? Because it's about responsibility, no? So therefore, it's important to, if we want change, no? If we really want change, who will carry it out? Who will take responsibility? In other words, it's like saying, believe what you preach what you believe, and practice what you preach. And therefore, it's integrity, no? Part of integrity is to take responsibility, meaning to make good choices. We can say that, okay, many people would say, I like to finish my school. I want to, but the question is, am I willing to make responsible choices? No, freedom is not just doing whatever I like. Freedom is I make healthy choices in my life. That's not so easy because there's so many desires we have, and sometimes we get distracted and we get carried away. So what is the lesson? Lesson is, change will not happen until we make it happen, until someone will make it happen. Remember, even in classes we have, okay, we can suggest, but who will choose to take on the responsibility so that our task will be done, no? So important, who will carry the flag? I remember this story because there is this yung 54th Massachusetts, and there is this film, this Denzel Washington, and it is a story of blacks, no, and how there was a crucial moment in the history of the Civil War in America, where they have to go to the top of the hill. Question: who will go to the top of the hill? This Denzel Washington, I was portraying that role, and that particular time, he was supposed to be like yung pasaway, no? He was the one who would break rules, but uh, that particular time when there was a crucial decision who will go to the top. This Denzel Washington carried the flag, no, to bring it to the top. Okay, the next one is okay. The next one is it's the change is not so easy. Okay, because there will always be resistance. Resistance, we can say that some people don't want to take on the path of change. Why? Because, for example, with drug addicts, it is not easy to make change. Why? Because there is, they call it secondary gain. Using the drug can give temporary high or pleasure. So it's important to recognize sometimes change will, it takes a while. It is not so easy to sometimes to attain this change because, or recovery, because sometimes something pulls us back. Masarap yung bawal, parang ganon. So to recognize there are some people, it will take time to change. So what do we do with them? You make them weigh, make them weigh. If you pursue, for example, this change, what will happen? If you stay where you are, what will happen? So, for example, I was asking someone, he says that, it's good, sometimes he has lived a life, he was able to get away with a lot of things. And he said that, I smelled the roses for a long time without my wife knowing it, And he said that the reason for that, he said, because, I was able to charm many girls, for example, and then, of course, he enjoys that. But he said there was always part of him who is, unsettled and not at peace. And then now, at this time of the pandemic, we're trying to see what is happening at this particular time. An alternative way of behaving. There's more time to reflect at this time because you cannot go out, the social distancing. But he's able to do jogging. And now he says, when I jog or when I walk, I pray the rosary. So this guy, who was supposed to be a guy who smelled roses for a long time, now he's saying the rosary. That's nice, no? There's an alternative from roses to rosary. So right now he's considering that. I said, oh, what happened? But he's beginning to read the scriptures, for example. Okay, number 9, we're almost there. Number 9 is it's important that according, for example, Virginia Satir or Milton Erickson, that sometimes it's good to visualize, no? If we want to, where we want to go, it's important to dream about it, like what I said earlier. And how do you see yourself, for example, right now, you pray about it. Everyone is online because you cannot go to school now. So we were forced to go online. Before, this was just, some people have started it, but now we're just pushed into it to go online. Even public school students, they have to go online. And then I'm thinking of this, I don't know, when I was in the US, I met a friend, and he's a doctor, but he also repairs computers. So and then once he's able to repair the computer, like the motherboard or the hard disk, whatever, as a hobby. He studied at Don Bosco, I think. That's why he's good at this technical stuff. And then I was thinking, because everyone's online, even public school students, what if we have 1 + 1 equals 2. What is that? One motherboard or one computer, which is still useful. We just have to repair a little. And then one good IT expert equals 2. Tulong-tulong, in other words. 1 plus 1 equals 2. What if we have at this time, IT experts and donors who can, donate their time or, what secondhand computer, whatever, but still useful. And then we give it to some public school teachers or students, no? They have no gadgets, for example, no? And so that they can do the downloading or something like that. So you pray about it. I don't know if it will happen, but not bad to dream, isn't it? So think about the metaphor or the symbol in your mind. And then lastly, okay, this is the last one so that you have time to ask questions or comments. In the end, what we are trying to do is to count our blessings. So what is the counting of blessings? It means, according to Steve DeJazer, and sometimes if it works, you don't have to change it, no? We review, no? We review our, the best of the past. We review our behavior that works well. It is like science, isn't it? What works, you keep repeating what works. So if you want to change the behavior, you try to find a behavior that works. For me, what works is, because I've tried a lot, that before I go to bed, for example, I place my cell phone beside St. Joseph. Or, I don't know what you will do, but anything that will work, try that for yourself. I'm not saying it will work for other people, but what I'm saying is try to chart the, in your review. In other words, this is like examine, no? Review your day, review the week, and ask yourself what works. Therefore, you try to bring out the best in the experience that works for you. It's like science. And then best practices. And then also bring out what is best in other people. Bring out the best in them. And allow them to shine.
Bring out the best.
Okay? That's right. Bring out the best. Okay. Correct. Correct. Okay. Now, I think I'm done. If you let me just repeat, no, what we have. So first one is follow the pain. Second, chart stimulus response. Third, try to see what is in the mind, what flashes in the mind or tattoo of the mind. The next one is there's a gap inconsistent between the ideal and the real. What is the objective? To make the ideal and the real one, consistent, in other words. Okay. And then the fifth one is we have this responsible choice we can do. Okay. In a sense, there is you're partly in charge of your life. Number 6, be who you are. No, be who you are meant to be. Be the natural person who you are. And then who will be responsible so that change can happen? Sometimes we blame other people, we blame everyone else, but we forgot that maybe we can share something, no? For me, real politics is not namumuliti ka, hindi yan. Real politics, they say, is you know your place and you can make a difference in the whole city. So, tulong-tulong lang, ganyan. And then number 8, try to find out that we have different pacing for change, because sometimes we want to go back to the, to our old ways because we find some benefit about it. So the thing is to find what is of greater benefit, not just benefit, but greater benefit, no? If we want to make change. Number 9 is we have to symbolize, we have to dream, imagine what can, it's almost like reprogramming, okay? A new algorithm for change. And then lastly, Whatever is the best of the past, be the blessing, bring out the best in people. Okay, I stop there. I know you have a few more minutes if you want to ask questions. No, well, maybe one lesson before we go is we're not saying that we can change everything, but I like the prayer of those who try to recover. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Accept the things I cannot change for now, but courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, to distinguish. Another way of summarizing for me would be balance of, I call boundary, setting boundary, and then having some bonding, and then to see the boundless compassion of God. Okay, I'm done. I don't know if you want to stop the sharing. Okay, wala lang oras siguro. Okay. Anyway, so maybe you want to comments or what moved you. They say you can use the chat box if you like. You can ask questions or you can raise your hands. Okay. Below is a chat box, so you can use that or comment on maybe what moved you, for example. Okay? Sige, I don't know. While I was talking, I don't know if that made sense to you. Sige.
Okay, so can anyone of you please start the ball rolling while we still have time with Father? Yander, you're raising your hand, Yander. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, Father.
Hi.
Uh,
Okay. Go ahead.
this is just in time with my lesson in the senior high school on the introduction to guidance and counseling because this is one of the parts of those series in one of the core subject in humanities. Now, Father, I just want to comment, Father, the idea of change because uh, in some of our meetings in our class, some of my students would always put in their mind the idea of the negativity of the online classes. But I keep on changing that kind of idea, telling them that you always find the positive side of having the online class. I do not know if it's effective for them, but for me, as what I have observed with our sessions, by doing it, siguro it quite changed their idea of being negative on the online class. So with these sessions this afternoon, Father, it's very helpful. I think this would be a good tool for our session this coming Thursday in our class in counseling.
Thank
Okay.
you,
Thank you, Father.
Leander. Thank you, Leander. Remember, young people already do online games.
Yes.
So, and in fact, it's very captivating for them. And they spend until the wee hours of the morning competing with different groups. So the reality is they're already online. That the challenge is how to make the classes maybe attractive and it motivates them. So it's a challenge for teachers and learners how to find what is burning in their heart that makes them sacrifice, no, so that they can enjoy the classes. So how do we make the classes attractive? And they're really learning, no? But it's really tiring, to be always seated. It's really tiring and tiring for teachers to prepare, and tiring for the students always seated. And then you have, you have teachers, for example, who are online, and you have, working from home, and you have their kid. They have to, they schedule. They have to do a lot of things to really set the routine and schedule. And the students cannot go out and all this. So to see the difficulties, but also how to be creative. Thank you for that, Leander.
Okay. Are there some more questions? Denzel, you have some questions.
So far, ma'am, Wala man ma'am.
Okay.
Okay man okay man presentation ni Father kanang clear, and then makarelate pod mi kay ang output or ang presentation ni Father is more on parang paano ba siya ma-achieve dayon good, or paano ba siya maging effective sa pag-guide sa mga bata sa school or sa student sa mga teachers as well.
Thank you, Denzel. Thank you very much. So anyone else who have some questions, clarifications, or some feedback for the lessons we had this afternoon?
You can use the chat box if you like. You can
Yeah.
address questions. Yeah, so chat box, baba, okay? Or just, what moved you, what drew you to this, parang sabi nila, you are here. Okay, this one is more applicable maybe for you. I call it 3H. You listen to your heart, you listen to your head, and then hands. So 3H. Heart, what moved you? Head, what meaning do you derive? And how do you interpret what is going on? Hands, now how do we do it? It's like they call it sometimes catharsis, insight, and then action. So it's almost like see, judge, act, whatever. But catharsis is like how you feel, no? How you release your feelings. Tapos the insight or the head, what meaning do you derive? And then hands, paano ba tayo magtutulungan? Mga ganyan, no? Who are the people who will work together so that some change can happen, no?
Okay. Elma, do you have some questions? Some reactions?
Well, the lecture of Father is some sort of bringing back again, no, because I can't say that I had been into counseling and I have forgotten the passion for counseling. It is still there, and in my work, though I am not totally involved with students, I'm involved with personnel, and I can say that counseling is one of the best tool, no? One of the best tool in dealing with people, and counseling is a way of life. And I can, from the lecture of Father, I can say that we cannot say that one is better than the other, no? Of the 10 that Father has shared, for me, we cannot always say that this one is the best or the most effective way to deal, as a pool, no, in dealing with an individual person. But rather, as Father has said, we really have to listen, to listen and identify what will work well to someone. And I think that is the challenge for us in identifying what do we think will work best for an individual.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Practice, Father, can you easily identify or distinguish what is the best way or what will best work in that particular person?
Sometimes it's a little hard, no? We have to really pause and really see the whole picture. So the best fit for me, they say, you adjust to the people, times, and places. So therefore, maybe we need to see the whole picture first. So for me, I say, I try to see it this way. To see the whole, what is happening. So letter S is to see what is happening in the, the situation. And then P is praise. It is really, what are the gifts that people have? So sometimes change is very hard because it's beyond them. But if we build on what they have, the blessings they have and the talents they have, maybe they are empowered, okay? And then letter I, it means IR, also I call, what do I need to restore? I restore. Because restore, it means sometimes there is imbalance in the situation. And they say, you know what I like so much when some people in the management talks about a real understanding of the situation. There's really imbalance in the situation. The person who can find out the imbalance then can restore some balance. It's like parang yung sa accounting. Remember in the accounting, you look for balance, isn't it? So you have more expense than income. So how do you balance? Yung ganon. So in our life, sometimes, of course, it's not all money, but we try to find balance. Parang pagkain, di ba? Sometimes yung masarap yung bawal. So, but sometimes maybe we need to watch out what we eat, di ba? Kasi masarap nga siya, pero mataas yung cholesterol, or sometimes it will affect my kidneys or whatever, no? So it's ayan. And then another I, it means this is about to find out interior and deepest desires. Interior, deepest desires. So ano yun? It means to find out what are my greater values. What are my standards, no? Sometimes I am caught up with mga less important things in life. Pero maybe I am challenged by my deepest or highest standards or goals of my life. So I like to find out what is my foundation, what are the principles of my life. So interior yon. I have to go deep inside. Remember when I had the letters, Ted, you have potential to continue. But I had another letter, and that's the reality. I have to go back to the Philippines. And then I had to ask interiorly, what is important in my life? And I said, do I want the title of PhD? I don't think that was what I want. What I wanted was to build on the foundation of my study and to be creative. That one I like. That's why I was telling you earlier when I started, I'm not really what did I say? Programs coordinator for now. But I like to create programs. Maybe if I coordinate, pwede rin sige. But I really like to start programs. So something creative. And then lastly, letter T, this one is through investments. As you can see, through investments are the things that really make a difference. You have good outcome. Sabi nila yung, so we weigh, no? What will, in the long run, when we decide what will really bring greater outputs in life. I remember with itong si Ma'am Agnes ninyo, mahilig ito na to have good teachers, if you like, or to have good programs and to empower people. She likes that, as you can see, no? So what is true investment? I suppose if you have a good outcome, the greater fruits. How do you know, discern if it's good? By the outcome. Ang tawag nyo doon, return of investment, di ba? So in our life, when we decide, we look for true investments. So how do we keep our spirit alive? You see the whole situation. Parang this praise means you empower people. And then you restore the balance. IR is I restore balance. And then I, interior knowledge of my deepest desires. If you like, where is God in my choice? That's also another thing. Where is greater compassion in my life? And through investment is a balancing I call arithmetic of life. You need to minus, you need to add, you need to divide, you need to multiply. You balance all this, no? Sometimes you need to minus. Maybe you need to add. Maybe you need to divide. You cannot just do this alone. We have to work with other people. And then we have to multiply together. We can create maybe change, something.
Okay, Father, maraming salamat. I know by this time in your community in Arupe, people must already be starting their dinner time. So we held you a little extended. But thank you very much, Father. We will share the recording, particularly for those who were not able to come tonight because of the difficulty of internet connection. Ma'am Creen, wherever you are, Ma'am Let's, maraming salamat sa inyo. Father, thank you very much. My heart is grateful. And then we keep going, we keep connecting of what we could probably do more. My students are very lucky and blessed to have this opportunity and those who have joined here. Maraming salamat
Yes,
po, Father.
just share your recording to me para we can share it to other people also.
Yes, of course.
Para they
Yes.
can, maybe can we look at your faces naman, everyone? You show your
Yeah. Kindly show your faces
everyone
and
para
get
we
the
can have a camera
photograph.
naman. Everyone, if you can show your ayan, tama. Tapos
Les, Ma'am
show
Les,
your
and
face
then
naman.
Ma'am Creen.
Creen.
Are you there, Ma'am Creen?
You show your face naman para at least we can
We
have
will take a
one
photo
camera.
of it all.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Father. Yeah. You are
Thank you,
creating more.
Father.
Creen. Creen is still going up.
Ay,
Oh,
meron
Creen,
pala isa,
hello.
yan, Creen.
Ayan.
Yan,
Ay, teka.
Oh,
Saan si Ma'am
nawala.
Creen? Okay, say cheese.
Ayan na, meron sila. Okay. Oh, one smile.
Yeah. Ma'am Creen and Ma'am Lid, so thank you very much for joining us. We are, Father, we are actually organizing a support group. A support group maybe coming from this group also. Maybe Ma'am Creen and then si Ma'am Let's will help us. We are coming up with a support group like counselors who will connect with people in the isolation centers. And then they will contact them through the cell phone, something like that, to provide accompaniment, no, and encouragement. So we're setting that up, and then we hope, no, we could carry through the connection. So sina Ma'am Let's at Ma'am Queen, baka gusto niyong sumali, and then you could be people we could contact and they could listen, no, to the problems, difficulties, the anxieties of people in the COVID isolation centers. We'll get to know that more. So we just stay in touch with us if you are interested about that. Surely my students will be there, part of their class requirements. Anyway, Father, once again, maraming salamat sa iyo. And then,
Thank you.
yeah, never ending thank you. Salamat po.
Okay, maraming
Yeah.
salamat po. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
this
Father.
opportunity.
Thank you.
You send me the recording, okay, Agnes, para we
Yes.
can share it to others.
Yes, Father, very soon. Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.